So, how did one company, a company that was teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, completely change the game for the entire space industry? Well, today on The Explainer, we are digging into the incredible story of SpaceX and the revolution they kicked off.
I mean, it sounds absolutely nuts, right? But for 60 years, that's exactly how space travel worked. Rockets, these unbelievably complex and expensive machines, were just disposable. One flight, and that's it. And for decades, there was just no other way. This whole single-use model meant the cost of getting to space was, well, astronomical, literally. It basically put a ceiling on what we could do beyond our own planet. You know, space was this exclusive club for the super-rich governments and a handful of corporations. Until one company decided to give it a shot. So in 2002, this guy, Elon Musk, starts a company called SpaceX, and his goal was so ambitious it sounded crazy. He wanted to do two things. One, radically cut the cost of spaceflight, and two, use that to make humans a multiplanetary species by building a colony on Mars. No big deal, right?
Okay, let's talk about that audacious Mars dream. See, that part is absolutely crucial. This was never just about launching satellites for less money. Right from the get-go, the entire reason for SpaceX's existence was this huge long-term goal of getting people living on other planets. But before they could even think about Mars, they had to crack that fundamental cost problem.
So how did they plan to do it? Their whole philosophy was built around something called vertical integration. Basically, while everyone else in the aerospace world was using this huge, complicated web of outside suppliers, SpaceX said, nope, we're going to build pretty much everything ourselves. We're talking engines, rocket bodies, even the software. Doing it all in-house gave them total control over costs and let them change designs super fast.
But man, the path to orbit was just brutal. The company was on the brink of bankruptcy. Their first rocket, the Falcon 1, was this smaller vehicle meant to just prove they could do it. But it ran into massive problems right from the very start. Just look at these first steps. The first launch in 2006, fire. Engine failure, boom. Second one in 2007, didn't make it to orbit. Third try, August 2008, another failure. I mean, 3 launches, 3 spectacular failures. The company was just burning through cash, and they were running out of time. Fast.
And by that point, the stress was unbelievable. There's this quote that says Musk was waking from nightmares, screaming, and in physical pain. Think about it. By 2008, both of his big bets, SpaceX and Tesla, were just about to go bust. The pressure was immense, and everything was riding on one last shot. So they scraped together just enough money, just enough parts for one more try. The fourth launch had to work. And in September 2008, it did. The rocket actually made it to orbit. It was a huge historic moment. The first time a privately funded liquid-fueled rocket had ever done that. And that one success, it saved the entire company from disappearing. Okay, so now we get to the reusability revolution. Having survived that brush with death, SpaceX could finally pour its energy into its real game changer, making rockets reusable. This was it. This was the idea that could finally make that dream of cheap space travel a reality. The goal was pretty straightforward, at least on paper. Land the rocket's first stage after launch so it can be flown again. But in reality, oh man, it was insanely hard. You have this massive booster that's just been to space, and now it has to fire up its engines again, fly itself back through the atmosphere, and then land perfectly upright on a little tiny drone ship bobbing around in the ocean. And yeah, as you might guess, the first few tries were, let's just say, a lot of fire and explosions.
But then, after so many close calls and a whole lot of wreckage, this happened. This is the moment everything changed. In April 2016, SpaceX nailed it. A Falcon 9 booster came down from the heavens and landed perfectly on that ocean platform. Suddenly, that jumbo jet wasn't a throwaway item anymore.
And what was once this impossible sci-fi dream, it's now just routine. Since that very first landing, they've successfully landed and reflown their Falcon boosters over 450 times. It's incredible. They've gotten so good at it, sometimes they're launching the same rocket every few days.
So, with reusability figured out, they went from just rockets to becoming a satellite powerhouse. See, this breakthrough wasn't just about saving money. It let SpaceX totally take over the launch business and even start creating brand new businesses for itself. And their growth was just explosive. They started launching astronauts for NASA, and at the same time, they were building their own massive satellite constellation.
In May 2020, they made history as the first private company to send humans to the ISS. Huge deal. And while that was happening, they were using their cheap, reusable rockets to launch thousands of their own Starlink satellites, building a whole new internet service from space.
And all this success, it's reflected in the numbers. We're talking a valuation of around $800 billion. Let that sink in. A 2025 offer valued SpaceX at $800 billion, making it, by a long shot, the most valuable private company on the planet.
But they're not done. Not even close. Now we're at the next frontier, Starship. SpaceX is taking that whole test, fail, learn, and do it again playbook and applying it to their biggest, boldest project yet. And this one really brings us right back to where we started.
Meet Starship. This thing is an absolute monster. It's the biggest, most powerful rocket humanity has ever built, and the whole point is for it to be 100% reusable. This is the rocket that's supposed to finally make that Mars colony a reality. It's designed to carry over 100 tons of stuff, or 100 people, per trip.
And just like the early days of Falcon 1, the development process has been, well, a public spectacle. Lots of learning, lots of spectacular explosions. The very first big flight test in April 2023 ended in a massive fireball. But they learn incredibly fast. By March 2024, they got it to its target path in space. And by October, they hit this mind-blowing milestone. They actually caught the giant booster with the launch tower arms. That's a key piece of the puzzle for making it reusable super quickly.
So the big question remains, is this the rocket that's finally going to take humanity to Mars? You know, when you look at the whole story, from being on the edge of going broke to completely rewriting the rules for an entire industry, it's just an amazing reminder that if you can solve one single fundamental problem, in this case the insane cost of getting to space, you can change absolutely everything. The only real question left is, where do we go from here?